My name's Robert Ranger, father of Samantha Ranger, our star here today. The reason for us being here is to tell our story of a brain injury that occurred with my daughter less than 2 years ago.
About a year and a half ago, my daughter was 13 years old and down in San Diego playing with her club soccer team, and one of her teammates had contact with a striker, and it was mild contact, but when she went down almost just immediate, unconscious, and it was shocking. Most people that were at the facility felt that, oh, it must be a bad concussion. And, to give my daughter lots of kudos, at 13 years old, she ran onto the field.
We saw that my teammate Sam had already got the ball, and we were kind of turning around, getting ready for her to punt it. And then we kind of were like, what the heck? And we turned around and she was on the floor. So some of my teammates didn't really know what to do. They kind of just were kind of clumped up because they were like, oh, she might just hurt her ankle or something. I walked over and I went to say, Sam, are you okay? She couldn't formulate words or anything. It was like, da, da, da. So I called the trainer over, and she kind of did the same thing, was like, oh, what is hurting? And she couldn't formulate words again. And she was looked at me and she's like, go find her dad.
My daughter was playing soccer. She's a goalkeeper. She was waiting for a ball to come in, so her head was cocked off way to the side like this, waiting for the ball. A player came in also looking for the ball and elevated and hit my daughter with her knee, with her neck already fully extended right here, and my daughter was knocked unconscious instantly. So completely unconscious, standing up, and then dropped.
It was quite a scene, and I didn't sleep that night. I just kept thinking maybe it's my mother's intuition. I don't know what it is. It's not my child, but I just kept thinking something's not right. Something's not right. I don't think it's just a concussion. I think it's something more.
Never really kind of gained consciousness, was shaking on the ground. The ambulances were called, still out of it, and she ended up being transported off the field 30 miles to a children's hospital. She was experiencing what they thought were symptoms similar to a stroke. Said, no, it's not a stroke. Her brain at that point looked fine. They didn't see swelling, and at 1 in the morning, they sent her home.
I would check in with the dad, the mom and dad, a couple days. How's she doing? How's she doing? And some of the responses I would get back just from my own concussion protocol that I'd done as a coach myself and a player, I said, God, that sounds worse than a concussion.
The right side of her body was totally non-functional whatsoever. This leg didn't work at all. They couldn't get her onto a scale, a standing scale, to weigh herself. Her hearing didn't work. Nothing from here down on the right side of her body worked at all. One of the parents, also a parent of a goalkeeper, had worked extensively with this society that worked with what my understanding is returning veterans, right, who had brain injuries. And she called us and said, would you mind if we put you in touch with him? And this society, and they contacted us that night on a Sunday night. The next morning, through his contacts, we were on our way to LA to see a prominent neurosurgeon.
I asked permission. I said, do you mind if I call a friend of mine? He's a doctor that really has specialty in this, this avenue, because they got discharged from the hospital. So they're at home now. So I called Babak and I said, I need your help. I said that there was an accident on the field. This is what happened. And he knew instantly it was something more than a concussion. From the symptoms I was giving him and where she was in treatment at home, he knew right away. He said, Sarah, I need the father's number now. I need to call right now.
I literally drop everything and get to work and basically try to coordinate the care, and that's what the organization has been doing.
I knew, okay, now we're talking emergency mode here.
And immediately they start seeing, we have a problem here. At 6 a.m. they're calling us to say, we need to schedule emergency surgery, or carotid artery has popped out of the socket. There is no question about it. Multiple tests showed the same thing, and explained to us the loss of blood flow. Made all the symptoms all of a sudden made sense to them, but they thought they were going to have to do literally surgery on her neck within 30 minutes. They were like, get to the nearest hospital. And then through a set of circumstances said, we want to do one more test. And the darn thing popped back into place. But he literally had us in the car already driving. That's how close it was to us having to do emergency brain surgery.
It was obviously one of the most frightening things I've ever been a part of as a fellow mom and also a former player myself and a coach. It was extremely traumatic. I believe if it wasn't for Babette's help, I don't think she would have made it, or she would not have had the normal life, teenage life that she's leading right now at 14, almost 15 years old.
That weekend, like the day before, I had a huge sleepover at my house, and we had gone to the beach and had a whole fun day. And then I had gone to the game, and I don't remember the whole weekend. The first thing I remember was, after it happened, was there's like this frog on the ceiling of the hospital room that I was in. It wasn't that scary, I was just really confused. I just wanted to start getting on with the PT so that I could start, doing things on my own again like normal, because even if I couldn't remember, I could just move on, but still they were trying to figure out what was wrong. And then I think the worst part was when they thought that it was all in my head, because I wasn't sure how they would fix it if it was all in my head.
We were sitting on a couch on a Sunday afternoon with some friends. She's in a total quiet mode. We were pronounced done by the medical system. Like, follow up in a couple, 3 months. They just thought it was a simple concussion and washed their hands of us. If it wasn't for that set of connections that were able to turn us on to the Institute, and immediately within an hour on a Sunday night, we're getting calls from one of the leading neurosurgeons in the country who says, get me in my office first thing tomorrow in downtown LA. And it changed the whole world for us, just like that, period. Changed our whole world. That's the whole thing. The expansion, coordination, make something like this institute available to doctors across the US, right? To be able to point out, here's this resource, here's that resource, here's another resource, and guide them through, patients through a solution.
My wife passed away back in January the 12th, 2016 of Parkinson's. She had Parkinson's for something like 27, 28 years. And she was a fighter. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about her and the things that she wanted to give back. That's what I love about Babby. If I call him, if I need help personally, which I have called him so many times, and he's answered. But I do think about the other people, the small man, the man who's not as privileged as myself. I wish we can get to these people.
I am Lisa Kendall, and I am a mom of 2 teenagers. Thousands of times a day, I would get these like stabbing lightning bolt flashes of pain to my face that could be triggered by trigeminal neuralgia and just about anything. The wind blowing, brushing your teeth, water going over your face in the shower, eating. And I remember calling my dad on the way home, and he says, "Let me get on the phone with somebody." Of course, he called Bobak. And by the time I got home from that drive, I had surgeons' offices calling me and saying, "I hear you need to come talk with us. Let's set up an appointment." It was as simple as that. And I knew that I would no longer trust anybody else to find a doctor for me. It was going to be all about, who I was being pointed to through Bobak's organization. Then I kind of narrowed the search down and went to meet them and chose the one that I felt like was just best suited for my family and our needs, and just the one that I felt most comfortable with. The organization that he has put together these are the smartest, most powerful people in the world, and there's very little that could stop them. And when it comes to forwarding brain science, and the idea that that could be available to the masses is incredible, and it should be. I mean, the brain is this amazing thing, and to have this organization that is intent on making sure that people with brain diseases and brain injuries can lead better lives it has to happen.